5 Historical facts about the ancient Egyptians. The ancient Egyptians were a fascinating race, with mysterious mummies to worshipping cats. After all these years we are still unearthing hidden secrets about this culture today. Here we make ancient Egypt a little less mysterious with these top 10 interesting facts about ancient Egypt. 1. The most famous ancient Egyptian in the world is Tutankhamun. The most famous ancient Egyptian is the mummy of King Tutankhamun. His mummified body was discovered in the Valley of Kings, near Luxor in Egypt. Howard Carter, alongside a team of British explorers and archaeologists, discovered the mummy of Tutankhamun. Thought to be around 3,000 years old, they found his tomb on February 16, 1923. Tutankhamun's encasing was made entirely of gold and he was buried in the tomb alongside over 5,000 artifacts. These would have been items gifted to the deceased king, to take with him to the afterlife.
2. There was a goddess just for cats. The goddess Bastet was the representation of this love for cats, and she was depicted as half cat, half woman. It was believed that Bastet protected the home from evil spirits, disease, and protected the women and children of the household. 3. Egyptians were some of the first people to mummify their dead. In ancient Egypt, they believed that there was an afterlife and that the only way of reaching it safely was to follow a strict set of procedures to prepare a dead body. The process took around 70 days. When a body was being prepared for mummification, firstly the organs would have to be removed and placed into canopic jars. The next stage was to remove all moisture from the body. To do this they covered the body in a powdered type of salt and let it rest for around 35 to 40 days, or until all the moisture was gone. After cleaning all the remaining salt off, the body would have been stuffed with linen to plump it up again, and then it was ready for wrapping. The wrapping process could take up to 2 weeks to complete, and the family of the deceased was expected to gather around 4,000 square feet 372 square meters of linen to wrap the body. Once this was complete, the mummy was put into its coffin and then taken to a tomb where it would rest.
4. Canopic jars were used to store the organs of the dead. Canopic jars were used to place the organs of a body that was being mummified. An organ was placed in each as a sign of respect to Horus, the god of the sky. The ancient Egyptians believed that it would ensure that the dead would safely reach the afterlife. There were 4 jars. Each was named and represented one of Horus's sons, and each was decorated to identify which organs should go where. The first jar was called I-Mesti, which had a human head carved into the lid. This jar was used for the liver. The second jar was called Keb-Esenuf, which had a falcon's head carved on it and it carried the intestines of the deceased. The third jar, Hapi, depicted the head of a baboon, and was used to store the lungs. The fourth canopic jar, Duamatef, had the head of a jackal and was used to carry the stomach. 5. Women had the same rights as men. In ancient Egypt, women had similar rights to men, making them stand out from other communities around the world at the time. Women were allowed to own property, and in court, women were legally equal to men. Women of power would only be served by other women, and sometimes communities of these women of power would form. That being said, there were still some rules and exceptions in place. Women were not allowed to have important roles within society unless they married into the position via their husbands or were related to families of power. There were certain jobs that were considered to only be suitable for females, such as weaving, dancing, singing, and becoming a professional mourner. The ancient Egyptians will always be a mystical race as we continue to discover more about their culture and worship of gods.